Changemakers, and welcome to The Core, sponsored by Red Apple EdCo. This is your Everything Education podcast. We talk about current events, books to read. We interview education leaders, hear their stories, learn from their biggest lessons, and they share what they wish you knew about what it means to be in education today. I'm your host, Dr. Kia Turner. Buckle up for small seeds of inspiration that can lead to big changes in your classroom practice. Let's take a bite out of today's guest. This week, we have been talking about inclusive classrooms, and specifically, what foundational things do you need to have in place in order to make your learning environment really inclusive? I've been so excited about what we've been sharing that I've decided to call this week's series Inclusion 101. And as a part of Inclusion 101, we have one of my favorite teacher leaders, Mrs. Erica Mabian, who is with us talking about how to know when you need to refer for special services and what kind of documentation you need to gather. Erica's been in education in a bunch of different contexts. She's done urban schools, charter schools, suburban schools, teacher training. She does work with ed tech team, training teachers on technology platforms. So she's kind of really deep in different styles of learning, different approaches, and different student groups, which is why I thought she'd be a great addition to this week's topic. Welcome to the show, Erica.
Hey,
Erica,
thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Tell us how you went from such an extensive and expansive resume to thinking about when students need additional supports beyond what's available in the classroom.
Well, the frustration level of everyone, the student, the parent, the teachers, the colleagues that are watching the teacher, and just watching it all unfold, that someone has to intervene or someone has to advocate or just be a streamline saying, okay, I see this, let's start streamlining all the information and all of these feelings in order to have an objective view so that we can both determine what a best solution is.
So taking it from there and putting it more into, let's figure out what's going on, come together, see if we can see some commonalities and determine how we can best help.
Absolutely. And some of the commonalities you may see that it's something within their grade level that they missed maybe before. It may be a subject level. It may be the time of day that is the commonality, maybe after lunch or first thing in the morning, and this is what you do. And just looking at all of those types of things and just figuring out, okay, what is missing? Is it a missing skill? Is it that they need to go back and get something? Is they need more resources? So it's a lot, but it's all good perspective to determine where you need to go next.
So can you tell us, if I'm a teacher and I'm in a classroom, I love that. I love the idea that, number one, this isn't a decision that can be made in isolation. Like, you definitely need to be talking to other teachers that have touch points with that child.
You don't need to suffer in silence.
Or feel like it means you're ineffective with
No,
instruction.
it has nothing to do with you. It's just some things don't work out. I mean, when you first start cooking, it don't always work out exactly the way it's supposed to.
Amen.
You figure it out and you go along the way, you taste it and you know what you need to add or what you need to take away. So it's never a perfect process.
I love that. So if I'm a teacher, I'm in the classroom, I have students that, in my view, are not getting it. Teachers love to say get it. They're just not getting it. If I'm concerned that potentially a student needs more than I have to offer, what kinds of things do I need to start gathering up as I consider what to do next?
I would say the first thing to gather up is your humility.
Oh,
yeah, because a lot of times we do have this thing of, well, I gave a good lesson. I prepared. I did what I was supposed to do. It's on them. They weren't listening. They weren't focused. They weren't ready. You just didn't show up to learn today.
Oh.
So the first thing I would do is have someone come and observe your class. Whether it's someone in your same grade level, sometimes people don't want administrators. It could be your school counselor. We've had our school nurse come and just say, do you notice, do that kid, they yelp at all the time. Maybe they have Tourette's. You don't know what the circumstances are, but you need another pair of eyes
I love that.
And, sometimes people just write down, they come in for 2 minutes, they come in for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time. It could be, you know what, during my reading lesson, they always off task. Have someone slip in, look through the window, write down what they see. They just need to write down everything. I noticed this is what happened, this is what you did, this is how they responded. And then you take that back and you dissect it. Mm-hmm. And then you see, well, something happened to cause this. What approach can I make? Did they really want to answer and they didn't, and so they yelled out because of that? What kind of strategies did I give them? Could I give them a different strategy? I would start with having someone observe. And then you want to move to knowing what those missing skills is. Pull out your data. We test so much. We've got plenty of testing data. Yeah. Go through your data and see what skills that they're missing. Look at the grade level of the skills that they're missing. And then go back with meet with them one-on-one and talk about those skills. Introduce that type of activity with them in a lesson. You can really see where they are.
So I hear two things. First, I heard teachers need to be willing to have someone else come take a look. So that's the first one. We need to be willing to open our classrooms up, have somebody come in and see what's happening. So there's that. I love the gather your humility. Second, I heard you say, look at what it would mean to be on grade level. What skill is it that the students need to be able to display for them to be at whatever the grade level is? And then I heard you say, third, to get some data. So maybe for the teacher to look at activities that would test whether or not students have that skill and to take time with that student one-on-one to determine, is it a skill gap that's happening or could it be something else?
Right.
Okay.
One thing that I did was kind of what we were doing here is just recording myself. Back in the olden days, we didn't have all this technology. I would take out my phone and just record from my phone, just listening to what I was saying and how the child was responding. Now I've started with Seesaw, and I initially used Seesaw for my conferring. I would use it with fluency so that I can listen to the child read. I let them listen to themselves. That was available for the parents to hear. And when I did my conferring, I had my questions already picked, and I asked those questions, and I could listen back to hearing how the student responded. And then I could have that available for whomever was going to help me, my administrator, my school counselor, the psychologist, and then they could see how the student was responding also. And you can see, is it a comprehension issue? Is it just that they're missing some vocabulary because they can't follow what you're saying because they don't know and understand? They don't have the schema, the background for it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that all is lost, but you got to start weeding through. It's kind of like finding a good deal at a sale.
I love that. I agree. Here's my question. Is this something that the teacher needs to do themselves, or like should every teacher, let's say we teach on a team, does every teacher on the team need to go through this exact process if they're experiencing similar behavior from a student? If we're both having the same kinds of problems with a student, you're saying we both need to have somebody come look at our class, go through all of those steps before we decide that we need to approach our school team and say, potentially this student is in need of some services.
Teachers should communicate with each other and go and say, when I have Johnny in my room, this is what I see. And they're like, yeah, I see that too. And what's going on? Or have we talked to the parent to participate in these conversations? And the biggest thing of all is talk to the student. Yeah. Ask the student, I noticed you're not turning in your work, or I noticed that you're struggling in this area. Ask the student. Sometimes they can just tell you. We had a student that didn't know how to read, and she's in 6th grade last year, and she was on the 3rd grade level, and she just said, I just fake it, or I ask a neighbor. Yeah. And they sometimes are very transparent with you, but you need someone. Go to the other teacher that has them, and even if that's a special teacher, because I'm a special teacher now, and I would ask the teacher, they can't log into the computer, and the kindergarten teacher's like, yeah, they don't know their letters or their numbers. Okay, that's a good place to start. So I'm racking my head going, I have to log you in each time, and then I have the open door because I had the conversation.
I love that. Okay, so we are going to break it down and summarize it, you guys, before we close the show. If you are thinking that a child potentially is in need of special support services, okay, The first thing you need to do is get another pair of eyes on your classroom.
Yes.
Before you sound the alarm,
No.
before you call parents in, before you start filling out paperwork, my darling. The first thing you need to do is get another set of eyes on your classroom. The second thing you need to do is check to determine what grade level looks like. So what standards are there out there? What skills should students have at that level before you start sounding the alarm?
Yes.
The third thing you need to do is meet one-on-one and talk with your student. You need to ask them, just like Erica said, hey, I noticed you're not getting this done. Is there anything going on? Is there a way that I can help you? You also can take that opportunity to give them some quick assessments to determine if they do have a skills gap. The fourth thing that you need to do is to make sure that you're communicating with other teachers and parents. This is still before you've done anything. So you need to get other teachers to see, hey, have they experienced that behavior in their class? If not, it could be exactly what Erica said, time of day. It could be kind of the design or arrangement or some other environmental factor if no one else is seeing it but you. And then you need to get parents involved anyway, because no parent wants to be blindsided by you referring their child for services when you hadn't even expressed any concerns to them.
Absolutely.
And then if all of that has happened and you're like, even after all of that, I'm still convinced that something needs to happen, you need to approach your school team, and let's hope that they have one, and ask them to look at everything you've gathered and support you and the parent in moving forward. But what we do want to nip in the bud is this, as teachers, we get frustrated, honey, no shade and no shame. We get frustrated. And so you don't want to kind of determine in your mind that a child needs services, but you haven't done any of the footwork needed, any of the investigation needed to establish exactly what is going on.
You save a lot of time and you save a lot of frustration on your part when you are going to the next level and you say, these are all the things that I've tried. These are all the resources that we've used. So it shows that you really did your part. We want to be treated as professionals and we used our best judgment. That's you using your best judgment, and you're going to the next level saying, this is what I have to offer for this solution. And these are all the things. And that is just so admirable. And the teachers that are around you are inspired and encouraged because you really made a miracle and made a pathway for this student that didn't have one before.
Thank you so much, Erica. Do you have a way for us to keep up with you? You got a Teachers Pay Teacher store? You got a site? What you got? Tell us how to find you.
The best place to find me is on Twitter. My handle is 3trailsmabian. I also have a YouTube page and I post videos there regularly. So 3trailsmabian, you can find me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Erica Mabian, 3trailsmabian. 3, the number 3, Trails, Trails, and my last name is Mabion.
I'm going to put links to all of those in the show notes, you guys. You definitely need to follow Erica. Watch her YouTube videos because they're super informative. And she always checks her DMs. So if you DM her questions about things that are happening in your classroom or ed tech needs or anything, then she's absolutely sure to get back to you. We appreciate you coming and sitting with us, Erica, seriously. All right, fire starters, that's all I have for today. Go forth, be great, and stay lit. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to The Core. Wherever you are listening to us, be sure to like our show, subscribe, and share the episode that's meant the most to you. We appreciate every single one of our subscribers, as do our sponsors. We look forward to seeing you next week. You can also check us out on YouTube at Red Apple Edco if you'd like to see more video of these conversations. We have them posted there.